Well, a lot has happened in the world of real estate in this province since last Saturday. To catch up on all of the news, Devel Morrison of Bosley Real Estate, regular contributor here on Toronto This Weekend, joins me now. Hey, Devel.
Hey, Maggie. How are you?
Good. A lot has happened since we last chatted. Last Saturday, we were, will Steve Clark resign? Won't he resign? All of the stuff. And it seems like a lifetime ago, but this past Monday, we saw it happen. He resigned. Do you think it was the right thing?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I think that there's more than Steve Clark that's at fault for this Greenbelt decision, right? So, he's the fall guy, but really which is what I said last weekend, those developers were at the stag and doe of Ford's daughter.
Yeah.
So Ford's the guy here, but, the waters here are just so muddy, I kind of go down the rabbit hole and read more and more about this. It's, I was reading that there's this Greenbelt Foundation. And the Greenbelt Foundation, they describe themselves as the only organization that's dedicated to ensuring that the Greenbelt remains permanent, protected, and prosperous. Sounds like a great idea, but the government appoints a woman by the name of Susan McGovern in 2019 to the board of the Greenbelt Foundation. As it turns out, Susan McGovern's brother is Michael Rice, and he's the CEO of a company called the Rice Group. And they lobby the Ontario government to allow the development on the Greenbelt land.
Wow.
And then this woman's husband, his name is John McGovern, and he also works at the Rice Group. So it's just everything about this, as you keep reading and reading and reading, it's like this big corruption tale. It should be a Hollywood movie, really.
Who knew that Ontario politics could be so spicy? Let's go back to the announcement this week from Paul Calandra. He has taken the file. Obviously, now he is the new housing minister. And there's now talk of a review of all Greenbelt lands. This past week, there were over 500 people at a public meeting in Hamilton worried about the future of the Greenbelt, which is a lot of Hamilton as well. They say the review will be open, and the public will be, there will be accountability as well. This new review of the Greenbelt, but again, we don't know what the future looks like. I mean, this could mean that more land is pulled out of the Greenbelt. Again, Paul Calandra says that there might be land added to the Greenbelt. This is all now open for review. Does that, I just feel like, why are we beating this dead horse? I think what we're hearing from many Ontarians, and again, the government is elected to serve the people of this province, is leave it alone. Why? Yeah. Why do they keep hanging their hat on this thing that they just need to back away from?
Exactly. Like they're just doubling down on it. And I think it's really scary that they're talking about opening up more Greenbelt lands. I'm like, you're right. It's like these guys aren't reading the room.
No.
Give it back. We want all the land to remain in the Greenbelt. Like, stop it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get it. Calandra also mentioned potential restrictions on sale or transfer of properties for ministerial zoning orders and an increase in the non-resident land speculation tax. What does that mean? That sounds like a lot of real estate talk that I would love for our listeners to understand and for myself to understand.
It's funny, as you say it, I'm like, what?
Right.
What are they doing?
Right. So, well, there you go. I guess you can't decipher it for us either.
I know, exactly. Like, I'm going to have to research that one and get back to you.
Well, there you go.
Like,
it's exactly.
What?
This just proves the puzzle that they continue to put in front of us. Well, we will be watching. I mean, this is definitely not over. I know that you've said that time and again, as we've talked about this as well, Devel. The level of implications and all of that just continues to get deeper and deeper. And I think what we're hearing time and again, we saw at Ford Fest last night with the protesters that were there. Everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people just want this over and done with. And the best thing that the government can do is just say, you know what, we're tidying this up, we're closing off this file, and we're moving on, and we're going to find other places for the 1.5 million homes.
Yeah, like in a city that already has the infrastructure built that's close to transit. I mean, I know I'm not alone in thinking, what are they thinking?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel that they're, like I said, they're doubling down on this. Like they just really believe that this is the way to go under the guise of, oh, we're going to create more houses. But the houses they're creating are luxury houses.
Hmm.
Let's be clear, low
Hmm.
rise luxury houses, that's not really what we need.
Hmm. Hmm. Also, this week, Bank of Canada has decided to keep the interest rate at 5%. But that doesn't mean we all get to sleep easily, does it? I mean, there's still a lot of questions up in the air of if we will see a rise in interest rates again. I mean, 5% right now, but Tiff Macklem has kept that door open.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think that this is probably causing a lot of people to not sleep very well at night,
Yeah.
really. I think that that's great that there's been a pause on interest rates. It does provide some sort of relief to people. Let's hope this pause continues for at least the end of the year because the Bank of Canada is coming out with another announcement at the end of October.
Hmm.
So, let's hope that this is it. And let's hope that, at some point next year, they start bringing the rates down again. But, it's all sort of fingers crossed. And I hope that people out there who are going through a hard time can just hang on a little bit more.
And I just don't know if they can. I mean, this week we saw lineups outside a local food bank. And, we hear from the Daily Bread Food Bank of, just more and more people coming, relying on the food bank. I mean, these are people with paying jobs. But they're living literally paycheck to paycheck, no savings. Groceries are going up again, mortgages, rent, all of the things that I just don't know how much longer Canadians can hold on.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's a good point. I'm sure, unfortunately, some of the people in that lineup probably are cashiers at some of the grocery
Yeah.
stores.
Yeah.
Which makes me nuts.
Yeah.
I think that's one of those things, if you're going to go work at a grocery store, perhaps you should also get a gift card, every week so that you can spend whatever that dollar amount is. I don't know, $50 a week free of groceries. I feel like that should be a perk for when you work there. I mean, I think back to, I took a trip to Cuba once
Hmm.
and you go and you visit the cigar factory in Havana.
Hmm.
And so they tell you that the employees are paid in wages, but they're also paid in cigars as well.
Oh.
And sad to say that I'm using, a country like Cuba as an example as to what Canada should be like. But for the people that work in the grocery stores, yeah, they should also get a gift card at the end of the week that they can use to buy groceries.
I always say there is a price for living in a big city. But when does that price get a little too steep? This week, City Council decided to do something about that big hole in the city's pocketbook, but there is no shortage of concerns. One new revenue tool is this new, people are calling it the new mansion tax, but technically it's the municipal land transfer tax for high-value residential properties valued over $3 million. This is something that Mayor Chow spoke about while campaigning, and something that LA has instituted just this past April, Devel. I know that we've talked about this on this segment a number of times. You have some concerns about this as well.
I do. I mean, yeah, I'm going to call it the mansion tax because really that's essentially what it is. LA enacted the similar rule for homes valued at $5 million and up. Over $5 million. What's interesting in LA is that, then you have agents who are, when they're on the listing, they're saying, okay, there's a bonus if you can close before April 1st, before this tax comes into play. So I can see that's what's happening in the California market. And I wouldn't be surprised if I see something similar start to happen in the Toronto market. So,
because this would take effect January 1, right, of next year? Okay.
Exactly. So it means anyone who has a house valued at over $3 million, if they were ever looking to move or sell, now's the time, and they should make sure they get their place on the market this fall and close on the transaction before Christmas. And that would go for whatever else they're going to buy. Because, so if we talk about how the tax is actually going up, so the municipal land transfer tax is a graded tax. So what happens is homes valued between 3 million and 4 million, the new tax is they're going to have to pay 3.5% to the city of Toronto versus the old 2.5% used to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes up incrementally by a percentage. So if you've got a house valued over 4 million to 5 million, you're going to pay 4.5% tax versus the 2.5% tax that you used to pay to Toronto. I think what's scary to me is that the city is estimating that they're going to bring in $26 million with their new mansion tax. But did they ever think about the fact that once you enact this tax, people who live in homes valued that high might just not move. And so therefore, if people don't move, you will not make that tax. I'm really concerned with the way the city does their estimates. If we look at the vacant home tax, the city estimated that the vacant home tax would bring in somewhere between $55 to $66 million annually. And their estimate was there could be 28,000 vacant homes. When all was said and done, and I think it was some like 90 some odd percent of the people had filled out this vacant home registration, there were only 2,100 vacant homes. Mm-hmm. So the city's estimate was 28,000, but there were only 2,100 vacant homes. And when they did that estimate, they thought they were going to need to hire 25 people to administer the new vacant home tax. The program cost $11 million over 2 years and cost the city $3 million a year to administer each year. So I'm going to go back to, you know what? The city needs to go back to their budget and figure out where they can cut, because this is ridiculous. And they can't even estimate how much money they think is going to come in from various initiatives, which makes me that much more skeptical about how much money they think will come in through the mansion tax.
So I agree with you. I agree that I would have liked to have heard that city council has looked under every cushion and looked objectively at their budget lines and saw ways of cutting first before taking the next step. But I do wonder, Deval, I mean, if you are living in a multi-million-dollar home, it is a 5.5% tax really gonna deter you from selling your house? I don't think so. Really?
Yes. So what's been going on just for the past few years, if you sell a $3 million house now, or if you buy a $3 million house, you're looking at somewhere like around $126,000 in taxes. And so over the last few years, aside from this tax increase, it has actually already caused a lot of people in that bracket, even the $2 million and up bracket, to rethink, is it worth it moving, or should I just do some renovations? And so when we talk about the lack of housing supply in the Toronto market, this double land transfer tax has always been an issue, because it does give people cause for pause to move, because they don't want to fork out over $100,000 in taxes to do it. So this is just going to exacerbate the situation that already exists and restrict supply that much more.
It's going to restrict supply for multi-million-dollar homes, yes. But the common person who's listening...
I hear your violin. I hear your violin coming out right now.
The common listener, the listening, is not living in a $3 million home. But I will say, the way that our real estate is going in this city, soon the average price of a home might be closer to $3 million the way things are going, right? And exactly. So I could see it from that perspective. I also wonder, too, tell me what you think about this potential new municipal tax. I don't think Doug Ford is going to say green light to this at all. I think this is far-fetched, not going to happen from just my little vantage point. But let's just say something happens. I just feel like we are pushing more and more people out of this city.
Exactly. That's exactly what I think. And I hope that this is the one time when we can count on Doug Ford to just say no. I really am. I think a sales tax for the city is a scary concept. It's a terrible idea. And you're right. People will rethink living in the city.
Yeah.
They'll move to the outskirts. They can work from anywhere anyways. It doesn't matter.
And they're already moving out of the city. I mean, you know, we're already seeing the exodus. Okay, let's turn to a fun corner and talk about IKEA, because you saw this story and flagged it for us. Apparently, IKEA has really thought, and I think every company does this, every retail company does this. They've really strategized how you experience IKEA, your shopping experience of IKEA. Why did this stand out for you?
Well, I mean, who doesn't love IKEA? I mean, really?
I don't know.
I mean,
I won't be doing a commercial for them anytime soon. I'll say that.
You won't be starting the car anytime soon if the prices are low?
I do love their meatballs, though. I do love their meatballs.
Well, so I think what's interesting is that essentially what they're saying is that people, as you mentioned, the meatballs, who buy food spend twice as much money at IKEA than the non-food eaters. And I mean, of course, it's tricky because they make you walk around that layout,
Yeah.
but it's smart because it makes you spend money. I know that if I need to buy something at IKEA, I'll walk in the back door and go in the back way and know where to go to get what I need
Yeah.
to get out. But it is clever. I mean, we're not hearing stories about IKEA closing down. It's obviously working quite well, right?
Yeah. I have recently just gone to IKEA just for their food, to be honest, and I got a light bulb. That was it. I took our youngest out for a little meatball date, and he said he had the best cheesecake of his life, and we bought one light bulb and we left. But I do understand it. Like, I remember in my early days when I was single and I just needed to furnish my little apartment, being able to walk through. You're right. I think that it's this video that is on YouTube by, I can't remember the name of the company that you sent it by, but they're really just analyzing the way that IKEA has strategized every part of your experience from the time you walk in. And one of it is these real life scenarios that they set up in their showrooms, right? From their chairs and where they're situated, and even the little laptops that they have where the light is, and you almost want to replicate that in your house. And so they've definitely got into the mind of the shopper to create an experience that people want to transport to their homes.
Exactly. I mean, I think it's brilliant. I mean, I remember shopping for university, like every university student does with their parents. You're going through IKEA. I'm sure IKEA for the last couple of weeks of back to school was just jammed with all the kids going to, university for the first time, or even going back again for the second time. But IKEA is just a staple. And, as young adults, it's funny, I even talk about it when I'm out with my buying clients, depending on their age. Sometimes they're trying to figure out how they can graduate out of IKEA furniture.
Yeah.
But there's still some nice pieces that IKEA has. Quite frankly, I have a couple of IKEA pieces in my home.
Yeah.
Because they don't all look cheap, and some of them are actually quite good. And, for people having to do a kitchen reno, again, when I'm out with buyers who hate the kitchen in the house, I'm like, you can go to IKEA and create a really nice kitchen for yourself.
You have just done a great job of providing a commercial for IKEA. I think you should ask them for a little bit of side money on that one. That was awesome. Thanks so much, Deval.